Hey, everybody! Welcome to Wine Wednesday with the Whisperer. How y'all doing tonight? As you can see, I'm drinking wine. Actually, I'm on a different note this week. I have been in a sweet mood, and therefore I'm drinking sweet red wine, the Riscato, my favorite sweet. But I typically don't do sweet anymore, so it's, kind of an off day. Speaking of off days, this will very likely be a very quick stream because everybody is crazed today. We've got Dan is at work. Lucy is literally out of the country. um, Looks like somebody joined. Salty Reef just had a beautiful, beautiful baby. Who joined me?
Hello.
Hi, Tank It. What's up? You gonna show us something today?
Yeah, I have a bunch of tanks I set up in the fish room, and the seahorses are actually kind of waiting for food right now. They know it's time to be fed.
Oh
So,
yeah. Well, hey, feed them on camera. We'd love to see it. It's open
yeah,
chat, whatever you want.
uh, yeah, I'm gonna feed them, and then I also have this tank I set up, which is my low maintenance tank. And I don't know why, but the water's really clear on it. Let me turn the lights on.
Nice. That is really clear. Crystal.
I know. I don't even know how it just stays crystal clear, and the other tanks aren't as clear as this one. I don't do anything to it.
Really?
So
Well, there it goes to show sometimes that natural natural algae filtration that you don't really see that much, but is there somewhere. Is and then all that rock is helping, of course. Um,
yeah,
okay, hey, do me a big favor, Tank. Tank it up. Sorry. Can you flip your phone?
yeah.
Let's see. Sideways. There we go. Okay. Tell me about each tank a little bit. So what do we got going on here? You said you don't do anything. Is it just standalone tank?
Basically, I do change the filter out, and I do a water change whenever I get around to it. But that's about it with this tank. This is like my low maintenance tank,
Mm-hmm.
and I've this rock is like 3 years old, so I've seen barnacles going on it and stuff. So it's really cool.
Now with the rock, did you dry it out, or did you just mean it's been in a different tank for a long time?
Oh, it was dried out, and it was in this tank for a long time, and then it
Gotcha.
was in my first reef tank, and then it was in another reef tank, and then now it's in this tank.
See, I think sometimes that helps too, but that's really cool. So, what do you do for filtration? Is it just like a hang on or?
Yeah, I have some Chemipure in there. You can see it, but there's Chemipure in there, and there's also mangroves going out, and just a little sponge filter.
You said there's
That's
mangroves
it.
in there?
Yeah, this
Oh,
one
cool.
is actually growing really good. This one actually has leaves. You can't really see it, but because it's so dark. But there's a mangrove there, and it's growing leaves and stuff. So I'm gonna leave it.
Very cool.
So we have this
Go ahead.
thing, and then we have my little innovator marine reef tank, which is gonna be a reef tank. All I have in it right now is a little tiny coral, and that's it. So that's pretty simple with this tank.
Really quick, Salty Reef asked, is that a Valentini puffer? Is that how you pronounce it?
I believe it is,
Okay.
or a blue spotted. I think it's a blue spotted puffer actually. He tries to bite me. Watch.
Hey, tank it up when you're taping. Try to go move a little slower because it's the hangouts is tripping up. It's not you, it's the hangout. But if you move slower, it'll pick it up a little bit better.
Right.
And yeah, let's see. He's a biter, huh?
And my puffer's a biter.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, my
So,
clownfish all bite too. So hey, anyhow, go on. I'm sorry.
all right. And I just showed you that. All I
Hmm.
have in here is a little reef glass skimmer and a custom caddy media basket in the back, right there. And then a little MP10 for flow and a Kessel A360. So this is gonna be the main reef tank.
Okay, so this one's gonna be the main reef. Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you something that you don't see much, but I set one up. So here's my cold water
Ooh.
reef I'm gonna do, and I ordered some cold water anemones, which are going to be coming next week.
Okay, now tell me what species of anemones are considered cold water. I honestly don't know.
So there's the Corydactys that I'm going to get, and then there's the congregating green anemone, which is from California. These are all from California. And then we got the white plumed anemone, which I'm going to get.
The
All
white
cold
what?
water.
I'm sorry.
Plumed.
You broke up a little bit. Can you say it one more time?
The white plumed anemone.
Okay, sorry. Okay, thank you. And that's really cool. I can't wait to see it. So what did you do to set it up to make them comfortable? Aside from obviously colder
I
water.
Well, I do not have a chiller. It actually stays pretty cold in here year round. It actually gets 45 degrees at night. So, and then it stays around 57, 58 in the daytime. So it stays pretty cool, this tank, which is why I set it up. And that's basically it with this tank. Just a little filter, a pump. And basically, though, with the anemones, you have to feed them a lot because they're basically like um, non-photosynthetic corals, so you have to feed them a lot. And this
Gotcha.
is what I feed. This is what my biology teacher gave me to feed them because she used to have one of these cold water tanks.
Oh, cool. Yeah, very neat. Now that Rhodey Rich, I've actually never heard of it. What's in it?
Yeah. Um.
Obviously, rotifers, but
Yeah. Um. Best results. Use this to culture zooplankton.
mm-hmm.
Since there's nothing in here yet, I can't eat the zooplankton, so I'll get a little population going in there.
Absolutely,
And then I'm gonna
absolutely cool.
soak that with reef roid right
Wow,
here.
it's gonna be a plankton type heaven up in there. And Salty
Yeah.
Reef said K Town has a really nice cold water setup. I'm pretty sure I've seen that one. That's really, you're absolutely right. Very nice. But I'm excited to see your anemones. That's really neat. I've always wanted to do a cold water seahorse tank and just never wanted to risk it because I wasn't willing to buy the chiller. So really cool.
Yeah, that's how I was when I lived in Florida. But now that I'm up in New York, I was like, hey, it's cold in the basement. I can finally set up a cold water tank.
Gotcha, gotcha. So
So
what
this,
what other tanks we got going?
and then the last tank is your favorite, the seahorse tank, which has two Banguys in it that are really friendly. Like they're
Okay.
not afraid at all anymore. They used to be like really afraid of people. We got three erectus seahorses in here.
Hey,
They're
honey,
all pretty.
hang on just 1 second because for some reason you froze. Okay, there we go. You're back. Okay, now I'm sorry if I interrupted. Go ahead. Bangai
All
Cardinals
right,
and what else?
we got two Bangai cardinals and three erectus seahorses. Two of them like to come out a lot, like my yellow one and my male like to come out a lot, but my one female she always just stays right there,
Hmm.
and then she comes down for food, but then she goes back to her spot again. Now the male and her used to like mate all the time, but then she just started isolating, and the new female took over.
Ah, so you said it's two females and one male, is that right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Yep, she
So
probably took over. You're right. But
yeah, yeah, and that's it. I have a little skimmer, a Tunzi skimmer, 904 skimmer, my little refugium kind of thing hang on the back, and then I have a little filter sock, like little mechanical filtration. So that's it with this one.
and well, first of all, with the little scrubber thing, what do you have in there? Kato or
Yeah, I just have Kato in there. I can actually turn on the light, show you what I have. I gotta actually turn it on tonight because I do a reverse cycle.
smart?
So this is what's in there right now.
It's freezing. Mm.
You see it?
Well, for some reason, your phone or your end keeps freezing. Maybe if you wait just a second, it might. While we're waiting, though, have you had any trouble with the Cardinals? Because as Salty mentioned, his in his experience, his Banggai Cardinals were really aggressive. Is there any way that they're picking on that female? or no way?
I don't really see them, but maybe they are. But they tend to hang out over there in the corner, and then they come up to the glass and beg for food when I come around.
Hmm.
But maybe I'm not sure. She's kind of been acting odd. She usually doesn't do this. But that's her. There's no sickness I don't see. She looks pretty healthy. It's just that she likes hanging out in one spot and doesn't leave that one spot.
I'm trying to see her. It's kind of wobbling. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Is she?
I'll get
Okay.
a better look. Do you see her? She's. I don't know if you can see her.
Oh, I see her. I see her now. Is she on the heater?
Yeah, she's on the protective part I put on
Oh,
there
it's
though.
protected. Okay. Whew.
Yeah.
It's covered. Okay. All right. It scared me for a minute. Very good though. Oh, I see the cover now. Good. Cool. And
Yeah. So
hmm, that's interesting. What's the temperature in the tank?
I keep it around 72.
Okay. Huh. Yeah. I
So I
mean,
don't like it.
hey,
I don't like.
Salty, I really quick, I wanted to say, Salty, thanks for dropping in. Go take care of that beautiful baby. Thank you for messaging and letting me see her. I'm so happy for you and hope she'll come and join us sometime with some apple juice. But yeah, have a good night. Thanks for stopping in, honey. And okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, tank it up. And for anyone else who's joining, it's just open chat, quickie open chat because everybody's gone out of town having babies. So, any questions or if you want to jump in, there's a link at the beginning of the chat where you can jump in and join as Tanked It Up has done. Okay, Tank It Up, tell me what we're looking at. Sorry.
Okay, this is like something cool I just noticed. I have like a little bryozoan, like a little sponge growing in my filter.
Hmm.
So that's really good. I just noticed.
Yeah.
So a little sponge growing in there. But this tank is probably like it was very dirty in the beginning. And I used to get really bad algae problems, but it kind of stabled out. Like the bioload is finally starting to take on the seahorses.
Hmm. I saw Dan is
So
joining in the comments. Dan, do you have any thoughts as to why the female is kind of acting funny and hiding? I'm kind of leaning towards betting that it might be the Cardinals acting a fool. Could also, I mean, I would say I'm wondering because you mentioned that the tank used to have so many problems with organics or dirtiness, but if the other two are acting fine, do the other two swim around a lot?
yeah, they actually when they're hungry, they come right up to the glass and want to eat. And then this one, she just comes down. She comes down, but she only comes down to get food, and then she goes right back up to her spot.
Hmm.
Yeah, there.
Hey Ray. Hey mute. Don't forget
All right.
to mute the
I just did
YouTube.
it.
Okay, good job. Sorry. Ray,
So
do you have any
My-
thoughts about why the female's hanging out in the corner?
I just got here, so I don't know what's going on. I was out, didn't get home in time.
Oh, gotcha. No worries. No worries. Well, the big deal is that Tank It Up, sorry, joined and he showed us the aquariums he's working on. Thank you so much for showing us. Very cool. He's doing a cold water anemone tank. He's got a very natural with lots of rock tank, and then he was showing us the seahorse tank. And the seahorse tank, in the seahorse tank, one of these females, it's two females and a male, and there are
yeah,
cardinals in the tank, and one of the females kind of hides on the covered heater a lot. And so, what we're kind of thinking so far is that maybe the cardinals might be picking on her because the other two act fine. And Dan did suggest in the comments that one way to tell is temporarily move them since you have other tanks.
yeah.
You could see if that helped if she started coming out.
You know what? Maybe it might be the Cardinals because, like, she never acted like this. When before we moved to this house, she used to pair up with the other male, like with my male,
Mhm.
and then she slowly lost power. It seems, and then the more mature female took over, and then she's been hiding. I think it might be as well dominance. Maybe the other female scares her away whenever she gets near the male.
Gotcha. And that's interesting. Ray, have you ever
In fact,
have you ever had
I'm
a
just
case?
trying to blank out the volume on.
Before we move this.
Okay, hang on, guys.
Okay,
Can't both
sorry.
talk at the same time.
I have a hard time doing two things at the same time.
Oh no, you're okay. I
And I want,
understand. Ray,
okay,
what I was curious about is if you've ever had a case that the females were very competitive and maybe one kind of bullied the other. I see that in males a lot. I have personally
yeah,
not
I've
seen that in
seen it with
females.
males, but I haven't seen it with females.
Hmm. I mean, not to say that's
Yeah.
not possible, but
I have one female in the ab tank though that there isn't any interaction really with her and any of the others. And while there occasionally she'll be in the area with the others, she spends probably the greatest part of her time at an end of a tank that the others don't seem to bother going to.
hmm.
And she has a certain spot that she sits there. But conversely to that, I have a male in the same tank that has his one spot, and he's almost always there and doesn't do too much with any of the others as well.
Hmm. So maybe it's normal. I mean, maybe she just doesn't. I'm still guessing just by the way that she kind of seemed like she wasn't real happy that maybe the Cardinals were picking, and you might be right on the aggression. Maybe keep an eye out for both, and as Dan suggested, maybe move the Cardinals to a different tank.
Yeah,
They
I
might go
think it
well in
might be
that
the
other tank.
because one of them is pretty big, and I don't think it's the smaller one. The one that's really big, she's been getting bigger lately, and she's looks
What kind of Cardinals?
right now. And the female, I think they're probably like, you know, scaring the female from food, like kind of like going fast and like coming at her. Maybe that's it.
Maybe. And Ray, they're Bangui Cardinals.
Oh, okay.
And Salty mentioned that he's had trouble with them.
I'm
Um,
gonna feed seahorses right now.
okay.
Actually,
The video's not working right now for you.
you know, I'm just
Okay.
gonna.
Okay. All right. Well, yes, please feed them. We'd love to see. Ray, maybe you can give some thoughts as they feed to see what you think of the female. But also in the comments, we've got a conversation going on. Jordan asked if 18 inches is tall enough for seahorses, and Dan responded that 18 inches is fine. And let's see, he said, do 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 do. There was a discussion about whether taller tanks are needed for breeding, and Dan said that some of his breeder tanks are only 16 inches tall. So there's another myth busted. I personally like the taller tanks just because I like to watch them swim up. So it kind of depends on your goals. But I like to watch them do their spinning dances, so I go for taller tanks. Now that does tend to be a problem if you use macroalgae in the display tank, because then you've got to get the lighting strong enough to hit the macroalgae, and you don't want too high of lighting that's going to heat the water for the seahorses. It's just kind of like a balancing act, like everything else. But so the myth that you have to have a tall tank is incorrect. Dan has busted it, as we say. And let's see. Um, yeah, so there's a lot of myths that people used to believe were true and just aren't. And we're gonna
For
watch.
what it's worth, about 12 years ago, I had combs in a 40-gallon breeder,
Really?
and that's a pretty low tank, and there was substrate in it as well. So the depth, I'm not sure how many inches. I don't really remember what the actual dimensions were on the tank,
Right.
but um, one of the males in the tank did get pregnant. So like
Oh,
it doesn't matter. They'll find a way to do whatever,
right.
whenever.
Exactly. Yeah, if they want to, you're not gonna stop them. Okay, so
Oh.
so tank it up. Have you thrown the food in? I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the food just got caught in the uptake. That's
Um.
all I'd recommend. Making sure it's thawed out completely before you put it in. And second of all, turn off the circulation pump there so it's not going to take up and foul up the filter.
Yeah. And something, just another thought. We're all here to learn from each other, so it's cool. But I'm just curious: is there a power head of any kind in there? or would it
No,
be
there
hurt?
was,
Okay.
but it was too much flow for them.
Huh.
I thought they weren't just getting their food that they needed, so I took it out, and I'm doing what you said. I'm turning off the flow.
Gotcha.
I like a long time ago I turned off the flow, but I noticed they still ate and they were still getting fat because I didn't notice they were getting skinny like their sides.
Mm-hmm.
So I just left the flow on when they ate because they were still getting kind of fat.
Yeah, I usually do turn off the flow also just for the feeding, but I my tanks are a little bit bigger, so that could be why it works. But I have I have something that turns off the wave makers, but I leave the actual return going. So Ray, do you turn off everything when you feed, or how do you do it?
I turn off the power head that has the quick filter on it, and I turn off the return pump from the sump so
Okay.
that nothing's getting washed over the overflow. Um, but at the same time, I turn on uh, a secondary power head that has no filtration on it at all,
Uh-huh.
and it, along with another power head of the same type that is on all the time, plus two air lines that are in it, that keeps the food moving around for a decent period of time anyway.
Gotcha. Yeah, keeping it moving is
But
definitely.
I have my timers.
You
The
have.
first thing I do when it's seahorse feeding time is I turn on or I turn off the timer, and I set it move it to its stop. It's a mechanical timer. I move it to its stop so it'll automatically come back on after a half hour. Another timer has this power head that I turn on at feeding time, and so I'll turn it to the on spot, and it'll be on for about an hour, and then shut off. But that helps. It's helping keep stuff going, and it's right dead on the bottom, and its flow is directed from the back towards the front of the aquarium, and basically kind of centrally located.
Gotcha.
Um, that same timer, once it turns off, will go about an hour, then it will turn back on again. And
Mm.
this time, when it's coming back on again, the power head with the quick filter on it is working so that this comes back on its second time. And now that the quick filter is active, it'll start picking up some of the garbage that it sends up this on this second time.
Gotcha. Makes sense. And Tank It Up, did she? I'm sorry, I'm trying to do too many things at once. Did she come out and eat?
Um, the no, only the male's out right now. The other female's still there.
Now when?
Maybe there's
Yeah,
something.
yeah. I'm wondering.
How big is the tank?
I don't see any infection or anything, but
Have
I
you
don't know. Maybe
tried?
she.
Have you tried like putting food near her? Just I'm thinking about where she's positioned. Maybe she doesn't realize that. Well, you turned off the flow, so she should get that cue. Hmm. I'm not real sure. Ray, what do you think?
Uh, I'm not sure. Like I missed out so much at the start. I don't know whether this is a history where there's a problem with the seahorse, or just the fact that the seahorse is hanging by itself, not with others.
Right. Well, I honestly didn't get much history, so I should have. Sorry. But he also mentioned that she didn't used to be like this. That she used to be active and eat just fine. So I
What
don't know.
size tank? How many seahorses?
It's go ahead, tank it up.
Three, and it's a it's kind of small for that many, but
I didn't hear what size that was.
it's it's pretty small for them. I want to upgrade when they get bigger to maybe something like a 75, but right now since they're so small, it's just in like a 39 gallon.
Well, 39 is plenty big for a pair. But you have three, did you say?
Yeah.
That should be fine as long as you're doing sufficient maintenance and water changes, then you shouldn't have any trouble. The problem is learning what point um, your husbandry and water changes need to be at to be
Yeah.
successful. That's a trial and error, as Dan mentioned last week.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what would happen if you did do a pretty big water change. See if maybe clean water helped her perk up. But I still am thinking that I'm still leaning towards the Cardinals myself. But this is, as Ray just said, and as Dan said last week, it's kind of trial and error. I applaud you for continuing to try, and I hope that we can get her going well, but I would try maybe removing the Cardinals and doing a big water change. That would be my 2 cents. And in the comments, Larry Clark, just to let you know, we would love for you to come in and show us your what I'm getting ready to describe what he said, guys, but. He has his own feeding system, and I wanted to mention to Jordan, if you're still out there, that we would love for you to come in and show us your tank, of course, in the groups and also at One Wednesday. By next week, I will have an instructional and a video to show you guys how to easily join whenever you want. So if you want to next or whenever you get it set up, we'd love to see. But Larry said his horses have food available all day long. He used he used a cleaned, clear peanut butter jar with half the lid cut out to prevent myces from being pulled out by flow, and attached it to the side of the tank by magnets. And my only question, I want to see that too. Um, you should be able to post images right in the chat. If you can't, then you can always join and show us by clicking that link. You have just joined the call through Hangouts if you want, and if you can't, maybe next week show us. But my only question with that would be, how long you leave. Are you talking about? I'm assuming you're talking about frozen myces, and my fear would be that it would it degrades so quickly. I'm just worried about how long um, that would it could sit in the tank. You know what I mean? Like I usually remove any leftover food after 20 to 30 minutes just to be safe. Usually there's not much leftover food, but you mentioned that that the seahorses have food all day long, so I'm wondering how you pull that off. But thanks, Jordan. Yeah, we'd love to have you come in. I'll try to put the link up again too. But Salty, feel or Larry, feel free to try to post a link. You should be able to just if you're on YouTube. I'm sorry, if you're in the YouTube comments, I believe that there's a way to put up an image. If not, you can always join. And so, just covering what's in the comments, and I'll try to put that link up one more time too. And if you click on it, basically it just tells you have to have Hangouts. Like I said, I'll have a video for you guys to see how it's done next week. But you have to have Hangouts. You'll have to download Hangouts. You have to use Chrome. And when you click the link, it'll say, do you understand you're joining a live call? And you hit join the call, kids. Join the call, and then you're in. And you can adjust your microphone and such as we have been doing. But anyhow, so yeah, I'm just kind of giving from the comments. Tank it up. Did you have something else? I'm sorry if I cut you off.
One thing is, it's not really related, but something that I noticed a long time ago is in my very first reef tank I used to do zooplankton and phytoplankton, and I used to like watch like a lot more like biological growth from just dosing that. I used to see sponges, I used to see hydroids, I used to start to see mice shrimp, I used to start to see limpids and barnacles start to form, and it was just really awesome. So that's just what I basically want to do with the cold water.
Very cool. Very cool. I can't wait to
Yeah.
see it. Definitely come back and show us once it's set up. And Larry Clark did answer my question. He said, yes, frozen mysis, they eat it all day within a few hours. He puts fresh in, so he continually puts new fresh mysis in. I get it now, totally. Only other question I would have, I understand what you're saying about the half of the lid being cut so it doesn't escape as easy, but I'm curious about the flow in your tank, because one of the other myths that we've busted on this channel is that seahorses need that low flow. Not to say you can't have low flow, but my tanks are all high flow, or medium, I guess, flow, so that I don't have as much trouble with, dead spots. And plus, my seahorses like to swim into the flow and flow dance and such. So just curious how you manage that with flow. And Tank It Up, I think, took off. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. And let's see. Oh, Salty Reef, I didn't realize you were in here. Congratulations on the baby. Are you having a blast?
Thank you. Yeah, it's fun.
You're like, this is not my first. This is, I hear you. Still, is it your first girl
Yeah, I'm a
now?
pro at this point.
Now you're
No, it's my second girl.
second girl. Your girl has been on our show. What am I saying? I'm terrible. Sorry. Okay. Well, still, she's adorable. Congratulations. I'm so happy for you. And I do see your comments too, Larry. Like I said, I would love to see. You can absolutely post images in the groups, Seahorse Sources group or Seahorse Whisperer Society group, or we've got lots of seahorse groups on MeWe and on Facebook. And then also definitely I'll get that video done to show you how to join, because I'd love to have you come in here and show us. All cool new ideas are welcome. That's what we're here for, is just to chat about stuff. And you said that you have tons of flow. It just works. Very cool. I can't wait to see it. Ray, is anything new going on with you?
Nope, nothing. Still, that algae problem that developed after that I cleaned half of the scrubber. I've still got that problem, but I've cleaned off the scrubber entirely, and it's got to start over again. So I'm hoping that's going to take care of things.
Okay.
But as far as the seahorses themselves, no problem with them.
So basically, the way that you decided to tackle it is just to clean it all off and start over.
I cleaned it off and let it to start over again. I should have been cleaning the tank today, doing the water change and so on, but I was out helping my son and didn't get back here till 8:30, so it wasn't time today to do the cleaning on the tank. So it's going to have to go an extra day.
Well, you take really good care of your tanks. I bet it'll be okay.
Yeah, I go to the extreme. Other people think I'm nuts doing it, but the thing is, I don't have problems usually. Like I don't lose seahorses from it.
There you go. And how often do you do water changes, Ray? What's your schedule?
Uh, I prefer every 7 days, but quite often it goes 9 days, but I won't go more than 9 days. The caveat there is that I do probably about 95% water change.
Wow. Now, I'm curious
But
too.
see,
How do you do that with the seahorses in the tank? I'm trying to figure this out.
well, I start off draining. I have a hose that runs from the tank to the washroom, and it siphons the water out. And I keep the return pump going until it drains the sump, and then I turn that pump off, and then I'll drain the display tank down to about 3 inches. I have no substrate there, so I can go right down to about 3 inches. And um, while this is all happening, I do cleaning of all the glass, and I pull the quick filter to clean it and clean off the power heads that are in there. Like there's, let's see, one, two, with the return pump, the quick filter, and the other two pumps, that's 4 power heads that are 400-gallon rating.
Wow.
400 gallons an hour. But the one is only on to disturb the food while it's being fed.
Right.
And then it'll shut off for a while and then come on for another hour later on. So it's not on full time. But the other three are on all the time, except for the return pump gets shut off during the feeding. So anyway, it's bare bottom, and one of the reasons that I do the extensive water change is because I don't have a protein skimmer on this tank.
Mm.
It's got a sock for the flow coming into the sump, It has the quick filter on that I clean out every 3 days. It's pressure cleaned, and then that's it. There's nothing else. The live rock, of course, in the sump for the biological filter, but because there's no skimmer or anything, no chemicals, I do the changes more often. And for me, um, it's the easier thing to do, and it's economical enough for me because half the water is my own making. I mix my own salt water up, and I mix it half and half with instant ocean.
Gotcha. I mean, you know what? I mean, this just goes to show, though, that, there are many different ways to be successful with the seahorse tank. I always recommend putting a skimmer on the tank, but sometimes that's just not how things work out. I do have seahorse tanks without skimmers, and I do the exact same thing that you're talking about. I make sure there's a lot of flow, and I make sure that I keep the water quality up by doing water changes. So, it just depends on how much you're willing to work. You do a lot of work on those tanks, and I mean, it's awesome, but whew.
The work, it takes me an hour and a half to about 2.25 hours, depending on just how much cleaning I have to do. Like there are some things I'll only do every other water change, like cleaning the power heads, for instance. They'll get a buildup on them, but I'll only do that every other water change. The hard decor that's in there, the simulated corals, um, I'll change them every 2 or 3 changes. I've got 2 sets, and I bleach them out and then Chloramex it, and then let them air until I'm ready to do another change. Um,
Wow. And how often do
so
you do those? Do the hard corals?
every 2 to 3 weeks.
Gotcha. Hmm.
I have there's a Kenya tree and a finger leather in there. There's some stuff with the Kenya tree that I don't even know what it is. One is kind of spongy looking. I have no idea what it is, but it does well in there. And then I have a red macro algae that grows out of the rock there, and I have no idea what that one is. I can't identify it by any of the charts that I've been able to find. And I've
Oh,
tried.
you got to send me a picture. I love trying to ID macro, but go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Uh, I've tried taking pieces of it and tie them to another piece of rock to see if I can get them to adhere. I've tried them in a special tank downstairs, um, putting it in substrate, and I just can't get it to transfer. It grows on that rock, and that's all I can do with it.
You know what?
But it does.
Go
It
ahead.
grows
Sorry.
well.
I was gonna say it really, really, really sounds like Nemasnoma, and that's like one of my favorite macros. And I've always had the same experience. You just can't get it to grow anywhere else. It's so pretty. Is it like a silky kind of deal? Is it?
No,
No.
uh, here. It's more like a grape.
Grape. Huh.
It's more like a grape, but it's different from like a green grape callirpa. It's nothing like that.
I think,
There's no
well, I want
large.
to see it. I want to see it. Send me a picture because I'm curious now. That's one of the things I've been working on is like a identification type thing for different macros. So we'll have to see if we can figure out what it is. That'll be cool. Um,
Okay,
but
when
yes,
once I do the tank, then I'll be able to take a picture through the glass.
yeah, yeah, and just send it on over, please. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, I mean, you work a lot and very hard on these tanks, and you're a very great role model for anyone wanting to do seahorse tanks that maybe can't or won't or whatever
I
get a
work
skimmer.
harder at getting out of work.
What?
I work harder at trying to get out of work.
Well, still. And oh, Larry is putting up photos. Let me see. I want to see really quickly if I can somehow add it. Hang on. All right, let's see here. Let's see how this works out, because that would be interesting if I could somehow get it on the stream. Um, anyways, while I am trying that, yeah, Ray, we're all lonely here. Dan's off working. Lucy's in France, I think. My goodness,
She's in where?
I believe she's in France. So,
Oh, God.
I know. So she's off, drinking the good wine, and I wish I was with her, but you know, she'll be back next week, I believe. And she's still. Oh, hey, have you had a chance to get on MeWe anymore, Ray?
Yeah, but I didn't know that Dan was having that chat session the other night until it was over.
Gotcha. Well, the cool thing about just to let anybody watching who might not know what we're talking about, the other night Dan did a like kind of like a group chat where you could come in and talk and ask questions and whatever you wanted. Yep. And okay, I'm looking at. I'm sorry to jump around, guys, but just to let you know, Larry, I will try to post your image like in the comments later, but it because I'm streaming, it doesn't let me do all of these things because my computer starts freezing. So I apologize. But now anybody who clicks that link can go look at your picture. And back to the chat. So Dan did in the Seahorse Source group on MeWe. He did a group chat where you could just jump in, and we had like 5 different conversations going on. It was really cool, and newcomers, experienced people, it didn't matter, and it was really fun. And the very cool part is you can go in there and get into the live chat anytime you're in the group. So while he scheduled a technically, a group chat time for everybody to meet, you can really go in there anytime and get on this group chat, see what's been discussed, ask a question for the next discussion. But it was really cool. So it was fun. And Ray, you could still see everything everybody said, right?
I'm sorry, what,
Oh,
in the chat? Yeah, I
yeah,
didn't pay too much attention to it because it was over by then.
sure, sure. But
It
so
didn't
so
look like a lot of people had got into it. I'm right at the moment, I'm looking at Larry's picture, but
yeah.
whether it's me, but I find it very hard to see.
Well, I think I got a little glimpse. It's probably blue light. Hopefully, Larry, if he feels like it, will come in next week after I have the video showing how. Because it does get complicated depending on the device you're on and stuff. So my daughter helped me, and we did a little video walking you through how to join from phone or from. And then Ray will be happy because he'll have. I think he's got it down pat at this point, but it'll give you the instructions about turning off YouTube's volume and stuff like that. So the thing you've asked for the whole time, Ray, I'm finally gonna produce. But anyways, and hopefully we'll have
Well, I
the
don't have the Google Hangouts. The problem I have quite often is the YouTube and the Facebook.
right.
But what I've found that if I click on them before you actually go live, it doesn't automatically show up once you do go live. So
Right.
I have to keep on renewing it and waiting for you to actually
Get my
turn it
button
on
here.
live.
Right. Well, that's why I should have made this more clear. When people subscribe or like this, if you like me on Facebook or you subscribe on YouTube, then it's supposed, and you click the bell on YouTube for notifications, or you allow notifications on Facebook, then it will send you a notification saying that I'm live, and then you're there. The other
But I
option, of
never,
course. Sorry.
it never sent me notifications. I only see it if I'm on the page.
Well, do you have notifications turned on? I wonder.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, I hate the notifications, so I turn them off all the time and miss everything. But
Oh,
I don't know. I'll have to look into it. There might be a glitch. I'm not really sure. But the other option is, of course, like for Dan, Ray, Lucy, these certain people that have provided an email, I send them a link every week. So, like this week, Lucy and Dan couldn't join. They don't have to. It's not, they don't have to, but the link's there if they want to jump in later or can, for whatever reason. So pretty soon I'll have that sign up available so that people can actually provide an email and get a link each week and join when they want. Hi, Edson. How are your seahorses? Hope they're doing well. Give us an update if you can. And I'm trying to see if there's anything else. Like I said, guys, kind of quick tonight. Actually, it's not. It's been a whole hour. See, Ray, you and I get talking, we could ramble for an hour. Last thing I want to discuss really
My wife used
quickly.
to
Huh?
complain about that.
What?
My wife, when she was alive, she used to complain about that. I'd never shut up.
See, I love it though. I love it, and it makes people feel more comfortable to join. In later times, someday we'll have it where people are just, we have to limit the number of people so it doesn't freeze. I hope. Um, but last thing I wanted to talk about really quickly is, can you think of any other myths that we've, kind of discussed already, maybe, but that we've busted on this channel? For instance, low flow, or you need a high tank. Anything else that that people used to believe and now we know isn't true that you can think of?
Oh boy.
I know I put you on the
Uh,
spot. I'm sorry.
but with the state of my brain with that mild cognitive impairment, it would be hard for me to come up with something just out of the blue.
Well, I'll let you off the hook. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put you on the spot at all. And
Trying to think for a while.
Larry, real quick to answer your question, Larry said that the Hangout link keeps opening Play Store even though you have the app installed. Um, I think I know what you're talking about. And when you click the link, it should take you to a screen that says there's two links available. It should be. Once you click the main link, you should go to a screen that has either something about go to Hangouts or something, or it says join the call. And if you click join the call, it should automatically bring you in here. That's how it's supposed to work. Um,
I
like
get
I said, I'll do a video walkthrough to kind of show the different spots and different links to press and stuff. I'm sorry it's so confusing. I hate it. And Dan mentioned can't be exposed to air myth. Now I'm kind of curious about that one, Ray. I didn't know
I never
people
heard
thought
that.
yeah, I didn't know people thought they couldn't be exposed to air. Huh,
Oh yeah, I never heard that.
huh. I've heard that about sponges, but not
That's
seahorses.
local.
Huh?
Maybe that's a local situation, just in his area.
Maybe. I mean, it'd be a good one for the
Surprised me how many
conservationists. You can't put seahorses in air. That'd be great for them. What? Now, I do know, actually, come to think of it, I to this day believed that, like the ghost pipefish, I'm not going to think of the name now. Uh, what is the name of them? The Harlequin ghost fish or something like that. I know that I actually tried to work with them at one point, and I believe that the problem was that they were exposed to too much air, but they're a different category altogether in my mind. But they had some air bladder issue if they get too much air. But I've never heard about it with seahorses. So Dan, you're gonna have to correct us on that one. I don't know that one. Um, I'm trying to think if there's anything that the flow jumps out at me all the time. Oh, um, I mean we've talked endlessly about feeding, but that's a big deal that people used to think they had to have live foods, and we still agree that the variety's great, but frozen can work. So I don't know. I can't think of anything off the top of my head either, Ray. I think I have cognitive impairment too. um, but all
I'm
right.
going to have to leave do my seahorse feeding too. My alarm went off at 9 o'clock, and I still haven't done it. So,
You go
but
do that, Ray. I thank you for
I
coming
figured
in
you
and
were getting
joining
close
me.
to the
What?
end. I thought you were getting close to the end, so I figured I'd stick it out for a few more minutes and see.
I am getting close to the end, but you go do your thing. Thank you so much for stopping in.
Okay.
See you later. Bye.
Okay.
And for anybody watching, guys, this is the point: is if I have a guest, I kind of limit the amount of people that can come in or whatnot. But when it's open chat, it's a free for all. I don't care if you want to show me your new tank or, ask a question or show me your new idea or whatever. You can just jump in and show us. Um, and Salty, congrats again on the baby. I am going to go ahead and cut this one short. But did you have anything you wanted to talk about, Salty? Sorry, I see you.
Um, I was actually told when I first started that you couldn't expose the seahorses to air.
Really?
So that was, yeah,
What
yeah, it was
were you
kind of
told
crazy.
that as like a pet store or
It
online
was
or
Petco.
Petco told you you could not expose seahorses to air? That is fascinating. I had never heard that. um, well, glad to know we'll bust that myth right now. They can be exposed to air. I've literally carried them from tank to tank, so and without any harm. They shouldn't be kept out that long, but that kind of thing. Anything else you can think of, Salty? Any other things that we used to think that we now know aren't true?
Uh, no, I think we covered most of them.
Gotcha. Well, I guess we're on a roll.
Uh,
No, go ahead.
the only information I had was for that tank it up, whatever it was,
Yes.
about the bang guys. Like they're not an aggressive fish, but when they eat, like they get aggressive when they eat, and I think they're out competing her for food.
Right, and that's I would yeah. Please feel free to speak up, even when I'm yapping, because that's a great point, and I should have made it. I wasn't even thinking of that, but even if they're not being aggressive towards the seahorses, if they're aggressively eating the food, the seahorse might be like, "This isn't worth it," and then starve. So we all saw that the seahorse did not eat, and there's no judgment on this channel. Nobody's judging anybody, but we're just trying to help. So yeah, I would definitely I agree with your original assessment that he should take the Cardinals out for now, put them in a different tank. Hopefully, tank it up. Please come back and show us, what happens when you do. I saw Edson's comment in the comments that said the one female is still sick. The first wound is healing, but a second showed up. A second wound? Oh no, that's terrible. Well, um, I'll help you right now if you message me. Unfortunately, I'm gonna cut the stream because I gotta feed the children's. But if you message me or Dan, of course, if you call Dan, he will of course help you. Dan, hi. Dan just jumped in. Every time I say I'm quitting, somebody comes in. It's okay though. What's up, Dan?
Not much. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You cut off at the end, but I heard you. Any thoughts for Edson? Or what did you want to say? First of all, I'm sorry.
I didn't have anything particular to say. I just had a moment where I could jump in, so I did.
Okay. Well, Edson did mention that his female that Edson is the person who showed you the seahorses on one of the first a couple of Wine Wednesdays ago, and he said that his female is still sick and the wound is healing, but a second wound showed up, and that's the one I believe that you had him treating. I can't remember exactly. I think it was with antibiotic. Do you remember the case?
I vaguely done a bunch since then, so I don't remember the details.
Right.
Um, do we know what he was treating with?
That's what I'm trying to remember. And for Edson, if you can pop in the what you were treating with, um, so that we can try to help you a little bit now. And if not, of course, message me or call Dan, and we'll try to help you further. Dan, is it unusual when you're treating something, when you're treating a seahorse or fish or whatever, for the problem to get worse before it gets better?
Well, in this time frame, no. It usually takes about 48 hours for the antibiotic to kick in, so sometimes it'll get worse initially, and then once the antibiotic kicks in, it should at least halt it, if not improve it. So this could be a couple of things. Number one, I don't remember the specific details on the infection, but it could be a case where this particular antibiotic is not working, or it may not be initially bacterial. It might be protozoan with urinema or something like that.
Got you. Edson said that we were using Bifuron 2, Metroplex, and then he just added Prozipro. So Praziquantel, Furon.
Yeah, the Praziquantel won't be any help for what's going on with this. That's primarily for gill flukes and for tapeworms.
Right.
Metrodiazolam would be helpful because it does treat urinema, but we may want to switch from the Furon 2 and go to something like Neoplex or Canaplex.
I personally really like Canaplex, but if you couldn't, Dan, your voice is a little teeny bit soft. I can tell you're in the car, and I can't figure out how to turn you up. They changed Hangouts on me, but Edson said he gave her a freshwater dip for 12 minutes, and she was calm. So that tells you it's not parasitical, correct?
No, it doesn't, because I'm
Oh.
talking about the parasite being inside the body.
Oh, okay, right. All right. So, well, the freshwater dip just to I'll try to do an update for you, like go back and get the notes from the last one. But the basic idea is that he gave her a freshwater dip for 12 minutes. She was calm. Um, and Edson Canoplex is Kanoplex, just to let you know. And there's also Nanoplex, which Dan suggested. Um, but anyways, yeah. So Dan, in this case, should he maybe call you first just to get, or come in maybe next week or something? Well, not wait till next week. Should he call you just to get some specifics?
Yeah, I would have him call me tomorrow at his convenience at my phone number on the website.
Okay. So Edson, when I get finished here, I'll put Seahorse Source's website in the link, or just Google Seahorse Source. Give him a call. It's Dan. It's the guy you talk to here, so he's very friendly. He won't bite you. And the only reason I say that is because we've already tried the initial. Yes, Nanoplex and Canoplex are the two that Dan suggested maybe trying instead of the Furon. But it's always an iffy situation to switch medications. Obviously, if one's not working, you want to switch, but there's all then you run into antibiotic resistance. And I would just personally say, because this case has gotten deep, call Dan. Dan, what'd you say?
That's not a concern here, because it's already resistant to this antibiotic.
True. Good point. You're right. I don't know. I personally worry. I'm probably wrong. I just personally worry when switching medications. And in fact, no problem, Edson, and I'll make sure to get that website up for you. We were talking about a case earlier, and I actually think I was able to help a little bit. It was a fish, not a seahorse. It was a tang, actually. And this the fish, the tang, had an injury that almost looked like a burn on both sides, in the exact same spot on both sides, and that brought to my mind Colby's speech at MBI, I think MBI. Anyways, his speech on diseases, and it made me think urinema, and now Felicia's helping further. But anyways, it was just interesting how I was able to pick things up, but sometimes I don't keep it all straight. So that's why if things get deep, call Dan, is the bottom line, guys. But have you, Dan, real quick, have you ever seen, or I'm sorry, what does it mean to you if a fish has an injury on both sides? Is that urinema usually?
I don't know. I'd have to have a lot more information. It doesn't sound like it, because urinema usually comes out in a single spot.
Okay.
So I wouldn't suspect it if it was bilateral, presenting as a bilateral thing.
Do you happen to remember what I see? That was the problem when I was talking to my friends. I was saying, I remember the speech, but I can't remember the details. Isn't there something that typically shows up in the exact same spot on both sides? I know there is. I just don't know what it is. Does that ring any
Off,
bells?
off the top of my head, no.
Okay. Well, I'll just have to go back and listen to that speech. I did tape it, so I need to get that actually turned into a video, because it was great information. But anyhow, okay. Well, guys, I am going to Dan, unless you have anything else, I'm gonna go ahead and shut her down for tonight. But happy Wine Wednesday, guys. Edson, I'll make sure to get you that website so you can give him a call. And please let us know what does happen. For the rest of you, thanks for coming and chatting with us. And I promise by next week you'll have information on how to join. And the easiest way to join Wine Wednesday is always to provide me with an email, because if you get the link ahead of time, that's how Dan and Ray get in here every single time, is they already have the link in their email. So if you send me your email, I'll make sure you have a link every week, and I'll have a sign up for that soon too. Dan, did you have anything else you wanted to say or talk about or bring up or anything?
Oh, I got a thing to go to.
Okay, well, bye, Dan. Be safe. Quit talking
Thank-
to us and driving. I'm just kidding. But okay, happy Wine Wednesday to all of you, and have a fabulous night. Congrats again on the baby, Salty. We hope she comes and joins us soon. Did you want to say bye, Salty?
Yep. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys. All right. Happy Wine Wednesday. Night. Cheers.